faster turnaround in live action, and it's also very easy to change if you have different circumstances and you need to change something within the advert. You don't have to reshoot it all again. You can just go back to the animation and fix it within that, and it can be out within the next day or two, so it's very quick. The examples of using animation in advertising, as we all know, so Kellogg's, Tony the Tiger, Ben & Jerry's, I've got British Gas, Lloyd's PSB, Coca-Cola, and Twinings. And as I mentioned before, Tony the Tiger is very timeless, and he's easy to change as the times go on. So this is him from the 60s and 70s, and that's through to the 80s and now. So you can see there is a change, but it's still recognisable. And you all know that Tony the Tiger associated with the brand. The other thing is the new technologies. So there's more mediums for advertising being used, mainly the internet, and one of the main things that they use to advertise is website banners, which is the thing you see at the top of the screen. And if they're animated, they're a bit more eye-catching and more attractive than live action. So say a person just sitting there waving, you wouldn't really pay much attention to that at the top of the screen, but something very bright and colourful attracts the eye. And then carrying on from what Steve said about the quick response codes, they're now thinking that they can use it as a form of advertising. So, for example, they want to put these codes around Trafalgar Square, and so you get your smartphone or your tablet and you scan the code, and augmented reality will tour you around the Trafalgar Square or Leicester Square, where it is. So it's now easier to access advertising. And again, the screens, the LED screens on escalators used to be completely static, but now we've got the screens. The animation can follow you down the stairs, and again, it can be more eye-catching and attractive, so you take notice of it more. I did a market research with Ben & Jerry's, not directly through them, it was their advertising company, and we were testing out a new product, but what also came with that was an animatic, so it wasn't a final animation, but it was still along the same lines of their adverts, which I'm sure you all know. It's, where is it? Anyway, you know,
you go down the bottom left.
It's not showing off on the screen, that's why. Okay, you all know it anyway, the Ben & Jerry's style. It's quite quirky, and it's their very own personality.
Fish food frozen yogurt is lighter than fish food ice cream.
Into this advert, but what they would do, they showed us an animatic, was of a cow going into space, and also going into a volcano, and a mine as well. And these things, you couldn't really take a cow into space, you couldn't put him down a mine or anything, because you'd probably get animal cruelty cases. But with animation, it's possible to do these things. So that's the point. And also opened my eyes to the process of an animation that it has to go through. So you need the idea. The idea needs to be storyboarded, a script and an animatic needs to be made for it, and then it goes to the market research. And that's where they get all their main ideas from response from the public, and they have to feed it back. And if it's not good enough for the public in the market research, they have to send it back to the ideas and go around the whole process again before it can be churned out, made into a proper animation, and then broadcast. So I contacted New Future Graphics, which is mainly a graphic design company, but they do illustration and animation. And it was founded by Ned Selby, Gareth White, and And I actually contacted Ned, but it was Gareth that got back to me. He's a very nice man. They've done advertising campaigns such as Coca-Cola, Freeview, and the BBC Electric ones. So for this, they actually did the graphics for the TV, the animation within the TV. They didn't do the stop motion. But it's still very important because it shows a personality for the TV.
You know the Freeview Plus Watch. You can record great shows like Coronation Street, The Apprentice, and Grand Designs.
You record great shows.
With a Freeview Plus Watch, you can be here. One of the boxes recording here.
However, in the room.
Or watch one show whilst recording another.
Oh my days, that's a relief. And finally, you can watch one show whilst recording another.
Robot.
I'm down to again.
Upgrade to a Freeview Plus box available from these retailers. Buy today, watch today, free, forever.
So Gareth actually sent me the brief for that advert, and he told me the process that it went through. It's in this email here. So creative agency came to them and said, we need a TV being animated. Could you help us out? And he told me about the process where they had to think up about 13 different ideas and storyboard them and then send them back. And yeah, it went on from there. So that's why they've got so many preview adverts, but all around the same kind of lines. So I decided I was going to make my own advert. And I didn't have a product to advertise, so I was going to advertise the use of animation in adverts. So this was my ideas for slogans, and I eventually settled on animate this space. More ideas. So I did a quick storyboards for each scene that I thought I'd do. So I was going to focus on creativity, technology, and saving money. That's my saving money storyboard. It's very simple and basic. I also created a very quick animatic for it as a process. It goes quite fast, this one, sorry. Okay, so that was my animatic, and my final animation was, if I can get to it. I decided I'd change the wording, and I decided to just change different bits to make it more relevant. So this is the final one. So.
Music or?
I was going to add some audio, but I decided just to keep the lighting. Okay, that's pretty much it, and I've got a blog to go with.
Good, okay. You mentioned the advantages of using animation. I mean, did you consider any disadvantages?
Not really. I just went straight for the advantages because I did that. I was aiming to do the whole advertising kind of campaign, so I thought keep it positive.
Right. It's interesting though. I mean, in reflection to what we've heard this afternoon, do you think that, you know, in terms of cost of animation and...
Yeah, it is a lot cheaper to do it because you have to take into consideration hiring actors, insurance, locations, camera crew, and it does definitely cut down on the costs in terms of that.
Yeah.
I didn't look at figures.
Do you think it does still, in terms of when we just sort of we were told about that Norwegian film that was very cheap and the American one?
Yeah.
You know, you see what I'm saying is that I think we're learning that actually sometimes it's looping around. The technology is now actually, you know, 10 years ago, it was incredibly expensive to have any 3D software. Now, anybody can do that. You know, you can make a film for relatively, nothing. And so I think that, although I think what you've done is very commendable, I think it would require possibly more reflection on whether that's really the case anymore. Because a lot of post-production and stuff can be done so quickly. There was that film, Attila the Hun, where the guy from Adobe came in. You guys weren't here last year. They made it with, it was the funniest photo. It was just 25 guys stood behind a door, and they made the film of Attila the Hun. And they just duplicated, it was like the Monty Python script, but they duplicated themselves ad infinitum on rigs and all sorts. And same principle to your Norwegian. Yeah.
That Attila the Hun thing, was that BBC produced?
Yeah, I think
that was the same director as the Monsters film that I was showing.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, it sort of links
so
together.
I'd actually say that it's now going the other way. That actually, there are, 3D animation, like to a certain quality, I think can be very expensive. It's like that 250 million for Tangled, and then some of the commercials are really expensive, and the problem with that is that the budgets are dropping. Anyway, great. Thank you.